Hey, hey, hey. Peace and blessings, everyone. Hey, 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 hey. Hope that everyone is well and everybody is getting this transmission live and direct. We are grateful to be together on this wondrous occasion, which is the 6th of September, 2020, during the dog days of the summer. It is a true joy to be present. I am grateful for all of you who are here. Thank you so much. Where do I, this is going into a group and we going live or we going into the group? Let's do it there. No, as I said, I was doing it. Yeah, I'll do it here. Hot damn, I'm great. Let's be realistic. You are the best. Hot damn, I'm great. That's one of my favorites from Poor Righteous Teachers. You get an opportunity. I can hum a little bit of the song, playing it in the background will get my video blocked for copyright claims if I do that on the old Tube Herrera. So here I can do it, and you get an opportunity. Everything is lovely. So hope everybody's enjoying it. If I do that on the old Herrera. So here I can do it, and you get an opportunity. Everything is lovely. Everybody's enjoying it. Waiting for y'all. And we're about to go live everywhere. So that's going to be the cool thing, is that we'll be here together and we'll be able to make it all happen in time. We're going live and it's setting up. We're getting ready. How are we? On the Book of Faces is ready. The redirection is ready. This is coming up. Hopefully you're coming in live and direct into the group. Yes, that is where we're going, live and direct. Awesome sauce. So that's how that's going. It's live and direct. We're going to have y'all right here with me. Hopefully everybody's ready as we get it cracking. All right. Here we go. Boom. Checking our connection. Hey, hey, hey. Greetings, everybody. Hope that everyone is well. Getting this together for our contribution. We're getting it going. People are going to start rolling through. Whether they roll through or not is cool. We want to take the opportunity to create space where everybody is able to do their thing to their level of ability. I want to say peace and greetings, Hatapu, Heru Nefer, which means good day to all of you out there in the world. I am in my personal sauna room. This is the room that, for those of you that may have been around with me from back in the day, when I first started teaching, this is my former teaching room, teaching space. And so I used to have a real bit of feel good in this space, because a great deal of what I used to do here just reminds, this room is filled with the energy of the martial arts, the self-defense arts. And so first off, I want to say, to all those who are here to share. I greet you and make space for the ancestors to move around me, with me, and through me. Today is a beautifully auspicious day. It's a hot, humid day. So I trust that you are making sure that you're staying hydrated. If you're in one of these hot areas, or if you're in a cool area, that you're safe. If you're in an area that is experiencing one of these extreme weather places, that you are taking the opportunity to maximize your health and your safety. This is one of my favorite days of the year, and I'm really grateful that we're able to share in this space together. So for those of you that have not had the opportunity to see this particular series, this is part of our Liberation Tools series. So what we're doing on here is we're sharing the tools that we use, that we teach, that aid people in addressing some of their trauma, surviving some of their trauma. This is more conversational, as opposed to some of the more embodied in the physical body movement activities that we teach through the Kemetic Aha and Sama Association. So quick breakdown, you can actually see the different videos. We do them in a really kind of like a little hour conversation. Quick, simple, easy, something you can play in the background while you're on the road. You know, we're building up, we're just testing this out to see if people are really interested in this kind of format. And if in fact people are interested in this kind of format, what we want to be able to do is to take this format and then get it into a different space where we can actually get folks more consistently into more of a podcasting format. So folks can take it with them and utilize the, wherever they get their podcasts. That's what we're looking at down the future. We want to, basically see how folks are vibing with it, if they like it, this kind of Sundays with Seba vibe. So that's the main thing behind it. The other piece that we want to be able to do is really get y'all to really think about taking care of your physical body. All right, and then as you're taking care of your physical body, the things you're doing should be able to help with your mental and emotional bodies, and also then help with the mind, cultivation of the mind, cultivation of the will, and then connecting the spirit with the mind and the body, working through those things to help you to have a liberated life, a life where you make choices that you are responsible for that lead to a productive benefit for you, your family, your community, and the world at large. So we're gonna start there, and here's our quick summary. Let me grab a sip. On these hot days, one of the things you want, if you're in the desert, just a quick note, you wanna make sure that you stay hydrated and that you're sweating. And if in fact your body's not sweating, you want to keep drinking water. Keep staying hydrated, okay? Because that way it means it's so warm that your body is releasing the heat. And so if you're not releasing your bladder, that means that your body is perspiring in a way that it's utilizing the water quickly. So you want to stay hydrated to the best of your ability. So that's why you'll see me get more swigs of water than usual in this. Well, for us, it's almost headed into extreme heat for our city. It may set a record this weekend. That being said, as we get together, we're vibing, and we've been doing this for the last few weeks. The goal is to run through the end of September, see how this goes, talk to folks, and then see where we go from there. Right now, we initially started out with the breath and helping people to have a deeper understanding about the ways of knowing, about how they're about 8 using your windows of perception, and then to talk about the scientific method and to expand upon the concepts of the scientific method and ways of knowing, to then utilize those concepts, and instead of using them externally, which is the way is done primarily in this culture, but to turn them internal, because that's where the next frontier really is, not out there, it's in here, it's in here. And so while we go through that, we then went through the body, we learned how to breathe, we did some breathing experiments, we did some explanation of the subtle energy bodies and the kind of the basic principles behind how traditional Chinese medicine works, how the meridians that run through the body, which people may call the acupuncture, acupressure meridians. We then utilize within our system what are also known as the psychic channels. There are about 8 that run through the body. And we talked about an exercise that utilized the main 2. And then from there, we talked about the relationship between your body and the cosmos, looking at it from the standpoint of the human body as the microcosm. Once we understood that, we also broke down the physical body, looking at the subtle bodies, and we did all that. Then we spent last time, after doing all that, getting the body together, getting the breathing together, talking a little bit about movement, talking about the cycles that some people refer to as time. But what we talk about is how the shift between seasons becomes cycles, and understanding it in terms of its cyclical relationship, as opposed to trying to constrain it within to a concept of human meaning that we would call time. And then we talked about cultural time and about the importance of practicing one's culture. So understand that if you're an African descended person, that most of the New Year's celebrations occur between June 8th, June 7th and 8th, and September 10th, 11th. So it starts in Western Africa with the Yoruba peoples, starting about June 7th and 8th, and then it ends in Ethiopia with Ethiopian New Year celebration around September 10th, 11th. And in between there are the other cultural calendars throughout Africa. And we talked about Kemet and Kemet's calendar, and how Kemet's calendar was unique as it's the basis for the modern Western calendar, and its relationship to the rising of the star we call Septet or Sirius A, and how that is also connected to before the Nile River was dammed, to the annual inundation of the Nile, and how important that is to the health and vibrancy of the Nile Valley and any river valley. The flowing of the river undammed is healing. And it also points to the fact that if you look at how they're trying to repair and heal from the Industrial Revolution, most of what occurred in Europe, they're undamming the rivers. And it's important for us to know that what's happening elsewhere, so we can not keep damming the rivers, but allow them to flow, because understand that it creates an energetic relationship. And we'll get into that in another session where we talk about ambient electricity and how the body connects to that ambient electricity and what's happening with the body during certain types of meditation. Today's session, what we're going to talk about, last session we talked about, in our last session, what we talked about was the foundation, the roots. And the roots are important, as we remember, because they don't see the light, but they do the work. They extract the nutrients and distribute them to, what I want to talk about now is kind of the work done in the shadows, the work done in the darkness, how we begin to expand beyond the roots. And I'm going to start it off this way, saying that when you put that seed and you plant that seed and it's covered in earth, what happens is that some folks will say you bury the seed, even as I was talked about. And the earth is there, and it's almost like a womb. Earth is womb, and it warms and nurtures and cares for the seed and provides the nutritive space. And that seed breaks down to its basic germ, and then it expands after it is broken down. It then reconstitutes itself using the materials found in the soil as it expands and begins, as it extends its root structure down, because we deal with the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So as it's reaching the roots down into the earth, it shoots forth towards the light. So it's enabling us to understand that when some people talk about it as yin and yang, that is an incorrect piece. It's yin yang. It's both and. They're not separate. They just shift in orientation and relationship to one another, depending on your perspective. And that's really important to grasp, because as the roots go deeper, the growth towards the heavens, towards the heights is more possible. And that's where we want to spend our time now, because we understand that the one that plants the seed is usually not the one who is going to even sit in the shade of the tree that's planted. And so we have to look at community. This really, the conversation today is about community, because our elders were the ones who planted us and nurtured us and cared for the soil in such a way that when it was time for us to take root, we had everything that we needed. We understood our relationship, and because of that, we were able to flourish. We had the appropriate relationships. They were established in terms of water, in terms of fungi, in terms of the microflora and microfauna that supported our growth. And that's both in this metaphor, but also in the human body. You have microfauna, microflora in your gut that has aided you from the very time that you began to gestate within your mother. And so as that goes on, you break down, then you begin to expand. And as this expansion occurs, your abilities begin to expand. So you shift. And so while young, you're small. And we're still going to talk about our time in the darkness, because we're talking about the expansion beyond the roots before we shoot forth into the light. My goal is that we'll get to that today, and we'll get to that because we're trying to keep it simple and keep it light. So in the event that there are questions, folks will have an accessible way to ask questions, and we won't have to get deep in the weeds and lose anyone. Something we're all here together that we can manage. Got it? Everybody good? Magnificent. So now as we're growing, taking in this information, soaking it in, I want you to think of it like our external environment is, we're like a sponge, and we're just soaking up everything around us, everything in our environment, soaking it up, enriching ourselves with it, breaking down its form so that it is no longer separate from us. We have merged with it, and it is us, and we are it. So that our elders are pouring into us the wisdom of the ages and the wisdom from the previous sages. We're taught how to speak to our elders, to our peers and colleagues, to those younger than us. We're taught how to care for the things in our environment, which are our elders, our community shrines, altars, or spiritual practices. We're taught these things. We're also taught to care for our community, that no one should be hungry. No one should be thirsty. In every spiritual community on the planet, this is the practice. Yet still, for some strange reason, in the United States, we have homeless, we have hungry, and we have thirsty. So I'm imploring you to look very closely at your practices. And this is not a shaming, this is not a blaming, this is a way to identify ways that you can engage directly. Not through a ministry at your church and they do it and you support the ministry with some financial pieces. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about your presence, your time, and in some respects, even your absence from those things which do not serve you, do not serve your community. I'm coming to you from a larger space of I am because we are, and we are because I am. So for those that want to say, oh, you're talking some community thing, that's not what this is about. This is about a relationship so that the individual and the collective are interdependent. They don't exist without each other. And we need to begin to take on a very different view. And we'll do that just looking at we're trying to grow in our soil, so the roots are expanding. And what's the function of the roots? The function of the roots is to provide a stable base for growth, to provide a healthy environment in which growth is sustainable, as well as the structural relationship between the foundation is laid so that when we reach forth towards the light, we will have the strength and the fortitude to be able to go straight up and not have to bend and twist and rearrange our structure so that we can then rise. And even if that's what we have to do, because we know we're not all the same. Some of us may have to twist and then rise. Some of us may have to bend and do a little extra work to then rise into the light. What we want to do is to be on mission. And so the work that we spend in this soil as these roots is for us identifying, remembering, and getting comfortable with the Great Mother. Why are we here? What is happening for me in this transformation chamber? What were the agreements that I made from the other world that I'm going to bring into this world? And are the people that I'm coming to the ones that are going to support me in the process that I have agreed to do once I incarnate here? So the culture is really set up around creating a space for this to manifest into tangible fruit, right? You don't plant trees just to leave them and abandon them, right? Right? Okay. So we want to taste the fruit, but in order to do that, we got to do the real work, and that work is done down in the soil. So we're in the soil, we're working, we're making sure that this is happening, and over time, while the growth is continuing, the seed is now released, and the new body is transformed, and it is growing and expanding. And this is also a fun thing. I would suggest that it really make this fun. For those of you, this is maybe a little complex. I love libraries. So this is just a little side parenthetical. So in our side parenthetical, what I would really love for you to do is to just check out a children's biology book and just read it, because that's the most accessible, the most fun. That's when learning was fun, because they wanted you to get it, but they also wanted you to enjoy it. And so in our libraries right now could use some support. So, you know, in this shelter at home, you're able to measure a society by how its libraries look. So whatever community you're in, so this is, again, I love and I share my passion in a great number of places beyond the self-defense arts and the martial arts. Right now, we're talking about this metaphor of expanding the root beyond the roots. And we're looking at it really in terms of culture as the direct metaphor. But I also want you to look at it in terms of anything that you achieve mastery at, be it cooking, be it gardening, be it sweeping, be it martial arts or a sport or a craft like crochet or quilt making or basket weaving. The skill that you attain, the mastery that you develop in this area enables you to then converse and engage with masters in other areas, because we speak the same language. The language is the language of mastery. And in terms of the Tai Chi Chuan or the Qigong, the way that I've been taught it, what that gives us an opportunity to do is to share what we call Gong Fu, which is work done so many times that it surpasses physical beauty. So that when that person moves, I know many of you, like I like watching some cooking shows and some are better than others, and you find yourself drawn to, I like the way that person moves in the kitchen. I like the way that they slice when they do what they do. That person is an efficient chopper when they're working with those vegetables. And like, I have a couple of folks that are really good friends of mine that are just magnificent when they get into prep mode in the kitchen. One of them is this brother, Wose Kofi, off of Baba's Vegan Cafe. Just amazing in the kitchen when we start talking about prep work. And so he's locked into that level of mastery. And so when you get in that place, you can now talk to other folks. Oh, and a little oopsie, everybody. We good. We good. That's why we got to be prepared. Okay, so here we go. And so what I want to remember is, again, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And my goal is to stay ready. Okay, so see how it happens? Don't worry, I'm right here. Okay, so we're going to adjust. There we go. Here we go. Yes. All right. So we're gonna rock it like this. See if I can get some straightness here. So don't want to come off like I'm in a Tribe Called Quest video coming to y'all off the walls. Okay, with odd angles. All right. So as we growing out the soil and we begin to understand that as we reach for the light and we've extracted from our time in the darkness the nutrients that we need, the systems are in place. For us, it's amazing. You come in right now, Pati. Awesome. So now we've reached the point where we've reached the actual surface. And it's amazing that this is actually called a corona, because that's what we're talking about. It's a crown. Corona, for those, don't speak the Latin and all that, it's crown. And what I'd offer you is that for those of us in the United States, we have a day off tomorrow. Many folks, it's called Labor Day, but it's actually disconnected from actual labor. International World Labor Day is actually May 1st, International Workers' Day. So that's actually it. But the United States wanted to separate the workers' movement that really began here. So they moved it to September. It's wonderful. We still have it. What I'd offer you to do is to take this time and actually see a sunrise. And it's going to be important right now because the moon is also going to be up. It's just starting to wane from its fullness. So you'll be able to appreciate the cycle and understand that while we talk about the darkness, what I need you to understand is that even deep in the earth, there is light. And that we don't understand the relationship and how the light works, but to understand that even in the so-called darkest night, which would be the night of the new moon, that's when we can see the stars the brightest. So I want you to really consider that we're never, not only alone, but never left in what most folks would think is actual darkness. So that I don't refer to the work that I do as darkness. That thing I refer to it as shadow. And that has its own thing. As a shadow just means that I'm actually facing the light. And there's some things that I'm not able to see that I got to work on because I'm facing the light. And by my facing the light and actually doing the work, that work leaves a residue. And when I'm not healed up, I need to deal with that to merge so that we can become whole. And so that way I'm able to embrace what most folks would call a shadow, but my goal is wholeness. And so in that wholeness, we're now talking about reaching towards the light. And what I offer you is that every sunrise is like a brand new birth. And in Kemet, that was talked about because the sun was referred to as a Khepra Amun-Ra. Khepra meaning adaptability, acceptance, and change or transformation. And because it was dealing with this transformation, it basically had this concept that you're born brand new every day. And without getting too heavy into the science behind it, we also taught that sleep is the cousin of death. And so, in many respects, while you're getting a good night's sleep, the whole goal of the beauty of this sleep is that you rise into the light with the sun in this new day. And you have an opportunity to continue the growth from previous days, but recognizing that this day is not the same as yesterday. So you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to accept some things. You're going to have to transform the way that you did things, because what you did yesterday may not work exactly the same way as it works today. And so in that process, what it enables you to do as you reach toward the light is that you remember that your roots are deeply established in the earth, in the soil. And so that we understand where we come from. And this is why you see me most of the time talking and playing with entendre and metaphor. Because as we look in that mirror of our lives to address our shadow, to deal with ourselves as whole human beings, who are you? And I'm not asking for your name, but who are you? Are you here fulfilling the mission that you were sent here, that you agreed to accomplish? Because what I offer is that we are here right now together to transform the way that this planet operates. You have seen the systems of settler colonialism and patriarchy going through its death throes, taking the deep, heavy, full body breaths as it's about to shake off its mortal coil. Why are you here right now? I'm here because I want to be able to talk about this earth. I want to be able to talk about our relationship to this earth. I want to be able to deeply and passionately connect with other people of like mind, to be able to expand beyond the roots, because I know who I am and I know where I come from. And as a result of knowing who I am and knowing where I come from, I know my community. And so knowing my community, knowing my people, knowing my history and my ancestry, my relationship to the Creator and the cosmos, which we've covered in a very general way in these previous sessions, now I can celebrate with everybody, because I too have something of value to add to the cosmic nature of our interrelationships. And I need to say it that way, because for many of us, we don't grasp what I mean when I say going beyond the roots. And I want to talk about it in the context of most of what people adore and love about what they think is American culture is my culture. Most of what they love and enjoy came from my people. And this is not a blame or a guilt or skip all that, weaponized BS and twisting of language. What I want to speak to is just at the roots, at the core, as we reach towards the light, we have to acknowledge where this comes from. And it becomes very important that not only that we acknowledge, but that we pay, again, when we talk mastery, when you hear me talk, I'm not sharing information with you this is not Inpu's information. You all could have got this information from anyone. I'm grateful that you're here. I got this information from my elders. They shared it with me from their mouths to my ears. And I'm sharing it via the internet in some respects with you. Because of the nature of the situation, I'm using this time as productively as I can to do my mission, which is to share the tools that I've been given so that people will have an opportunity to effectively survive settler colonialism and the cis heteropatriarchy that comes as an adaptation of this settler colonial mindset. And in that, folk got to know where they come from. Because if we live in community, which is what we're doing right now, many of us are sheltered in place. And for many of us, we haven't had and I'm going to call it the luxury of this extended time with family. And I want you to find a way, provided it's not toxic, to choose joy. To find ways, too hot. Okay, so I'm gonna have to keep going for y'all. The phone shut down because the environment got too hot. All right, so I'm gonna do what I can do. I'm gonna come back to that. That's how spirit works. The actual laptop that we're working on here is able to manage the heat a little more efficiently than my phone. And so I'm having some difficulty keeping it cool without having a hot situation. So I'll do the best that I can with this. I'll upload the rest of it, but this is best I can do right now. So what I'm going to do is try and come back later, or we'll pick it up where we left off last time with this session, as we're dealing with the roots, expansion beyond the roots. I'm grateful for this opportunity to really reach folks, to have an opportunity to talk about what we're doing effectively, about healing, and about giving folks the tools that aid in their not only thriving in this environment, but a path to their own personal family liberation, so that we have an opportunity to grow and expand and heal together. That is what we're working on. And one of the ways that we do that is we're going to listen to Seba Inpu a little differently here. We're going to work it out and then move it on from here. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about working together is that, we have community. And in community, the primary goal of community is to have us have an interrelationship, an interdependency, where we're able to grow and expand and be productive together and individually achieve our mastery, to work together to maintain and collaboratively achieve our mission, our purpose to be realized for why we're on this planet together at this time. And we'll deal with the heat in its own unique way. I'm grateful that I had this opportunity to at least get it here. And we'll pick up over on IG Live a little bit later as we get to cool down. And as you see, this is one of the challenges of working with artificial environments, artificial media, is that I am here as organic media transmitting to you. And I want you to be able to recognize and understand that there are times that the tools have particular operating temperatures, and we do as well. But the range and the gradient for us is such that we have multiple redundancies in terms of how to keep cool. And that may be the thing that I cover in one of our future sessions. I'm grateful for the time that you chose to spend with me. Thank you. Atapu. Ankh Uja. Sanet, peace unto you, life, health, and strength. And we'll catch up and talk soon on the other side. Atapu.